meditation, using meditation, and what types of meditation work best for you. Now, keyword in that last statement, what types of meditation? That is one of the first things that I want to touch upon with you, is that there are all types of meditation. We can do, there's the standard traditional meditation, which many people will imagine like a monk on a mountain or in a cave or something like that, sitting in an Indian pose, you know, or the lotus position, legs crossed on top of each other, hands in the, you know, in the Buddhist meditative position, all of these things. So, in fact, meditation can be done and is practiced in all sorts of ways, right? So, yes, there is just the sitting meditation. But even within the sitting meditation, there are different variances, right? So, there are different practices such as Vipassana, which is more of a mindfulness meditation, which is more about the practice of being mindful, going within, cultivating stillness. So with that, you may do things, you may be doing something such as just following your breath in and out, or focusing on one specific point in the body and just keeping your conscious focus in that position and experiencing whatever your body may be experiencing, or whatever that specific place in your body may be experiencing. There's Theravada, from the Theravada Buddhist tradition, where it will include more chanting. Where maybe more mantras. There are different types of meditation within the sitting posture. So those are just for examples. Now, outside of that, there are more active meditations that can be done. There are walking meditations where within like Vipassana, which was a mindful-based meditation practice, there may be walking meditation in the sense that you're walking slowly, you're kind of very mindful and deliberate with each and every step, very cautious, and it's just very slow, deliberate, methodical. The idea is to kind of keep you in the zone, keep you centered to that, right? But then out of that, there may become power walking, where there are many people nowadays who love to just go for power walks, and they may go to clear your mind. You may go just to kind of get in a little bit of physical fitness. That itself can be a meditation if used as a meditation. Not to say that it is always a meditation. Now, things like guided meditations, suffusio tones, binaural beats, like I said, are tools also that enhance meditation. These tools are used in specific ways to allow you to do specific things. You may find there's lots of free resources. You go online on YouTube, if you're within a community, then they share. There are many different apps that have access to these types of assistance. The thing about these are, they often will come with a specific purpose, right? So guided meditations will often have instructions from a meditation that's led by a teacher. These instructions will be to guide you to a specific outcome with your meditation, whether that is just going within, connecting with silence, whether that is finding pain relief. Because meditation can be used in many different ways and for many different purposes, once we get to that level, this video is all about just covering the initial basics of meditation and why we do it. But as you develop in your meditation practice, you can start to use meditation to accomplish specific objectives, such as, okay, I'm having some pains, I would like to do a meditation on some pain relief. Or I am, experiencing a specific thing, and I would like to glean some insight on that specific thing, so that you can do a meditation specifically about that. Or I'm feeling in my physical body or in my, energetic or emotional system, there are some blockages. So I want to take some time to meditate in order to clear that out, in order to try to go within and feel what is going on and try to kind of clear out any blockages. Now, the thing that I wanted to share about meditation specifically, especially as it concerns with these practices such as connecting with spirit or channeling or anything like that. Initially, when you're starting off, meditation is solely about settling everything, bringing yourself to a point of stillness, a point of just being, because we are human beings, right? We're not human doings. So when we start meditation, the ultimate goal is to really get to the foundations, which is really just to clear out the crap. Once we start clearing out the crap, then we can start adding other things onto it, right? But the initial idea is like settle the mind, settle the emotions, settle the energy. And the thing is, as we walk about our lives day to day in the world, it's like we're kicking up dust, right? You know, if you walk around on the beach, or you walk around any place dusty, you know, emotions, thoughts, all of these things, they come and go and they swirl around us nonstop 24/7. Especially if you're living in a more high-paced, high-octane environment, then your particular nervous system, you yourself may just be conditioned and prone to function at that high level. So a lot of times, especially depending on when we come into our practices as far as cultivating ourselves internally, we are oftentimes preconditioned to being a certain way. We're very conditioned to having our thoughts run wild with us, having our thoughts go back and forth and constantly cycle in our head, right? We're preconditioned to dwell on things, right? So we may have a stimuli happen. We may have some sort of occurrence that triggers us, and then we dwell upon it. And that sits in our brain and it goes back and forth. And then that tends to feed into our feelings and our emotions. And so now we're dwelling upon it, and it's causing up other emotions, and it's causing up these feelings. And we walk around with all of this stuff kind of just floating around in our aura, floating around in our system. And so the idea with meditation is that it's a time out to take a breath, to take a pause, and let all of the dust settle. Now, this is very important when we start to do this work of connecting with spirit, because you do not want to have your energy so fluctuous and all over the place that we cannot identify what is what. We need a sense of stillness, a sense of peace. We need all of the dust to settle, for a little bit of calmness to roll in, that we can start to then, from that point, feel and interpret what energies and what stimuli is actually coming to us, and from where, right? So this is the foundation, the basis point. Judgment is to drop the judgments. There is no right or wrong to this, and it is all part of a process, the operative word being process. That means all of these things are incremental and they build upon each other, right? Excuse me. So with that said, in the process of meditation, your thoughts will come, your thoughts will go. The idea is that you do not want to attach to them. You do not want to grab your thoughts and hold on to them and spiral out of control with your thoughts. Your thoughts may tend to spiral and go in another direction. It's very easy for us to go with our thoughts. They start to spiral, then all of a sudden we start to dwell on that particular topic, that particular stimuli. Now all of a sudden emotions are moving, the energy is moving, and emotions are arising in relation to how our mind is spiraling, right? So, okay, you have a thought, maybe it's a negative fear-based thought. So you hold on to that, you attach, you start to dwell, the mind spirals around that. Now energy starts to move in that direction, emotions arise. So if it's negative and fear-based, maybe you're feeling fear now, maybe you're starting to panic, maybe you're starting to get anxiety. That is not what we want to do with meditation. The idea is to allow the thoughts to just come and go as they please, but to sit in a space where where you're not attaching to it, where you're not grasping onto it and staying with the thought. Instead, you're staying with whatever the passive activity is of the meditation. Now, that is a hook. That is a key term, the passive activity. With meditation, the thought is that we are programming and training our mind in a way that we slowly start to develop the muscle, because all these things is kind of working a skill sets, working a muscle. We slowly start to develop the muscle where we can detach from our thoughts. We can detach from these random emotions and be in a place of stillness. But in that is some training required. So as you So with meditation, you have a passive activity that you can stay with long enough to not, so that you do not grasp onto whatever the thoughts that are going by are, right? You stay with passive activity. So if you're doing a sitting meditation, maybe you're focused on the breath or that specific place in your body. The thing with that being, that is the passive activity. You're focusing on the breath. You're focused just enough that you have an activity that's like going to keep your mind somewhere dedicated. In, out, right? As you focus on that, that is what you hook into. You do not grasp onto these thoughts that pass by. These thoughts may pass by, but the idea is that you remember to come back to the breath, right? I'm not going to stay with these thoughts. I can do that later after the meditation, but in meditation, these thoughts will come and go. Instead of grasping onto the thought and following the thought back and forth, you're like, no, I'm going to go back to my breath. That is where my focus is. So you go back to the breath. That is the passive activity, because it is active enough to give your mind something to focus on, but it is passive enough that from that place you can allow the experiences to come and to be whatever they may be. Passive activity, right? So with that said, the idea is that you don't want to attach to the thought. You want to let it pass over you, much like waves in the ocean. If you've ever been to the beach, you can know once you step out towards the shoreline, that water starts crashing. The water's crashing, and it can hit you. If you get a little further in, but you're not actually swimming the water, those waves can be strong enough to knock you over, right? This is a lot what thoughts are like, right? So, but once you go further out into the water to where you're swimming, now you may actually feel more in the flow with the waves. They can still crash into you if your head's above water, maybe kind of knock you over, maybe capsize the boat a little bit, maybe dip you underneath. You know, you can still be swayed by the violence and the strength and power of the ocean, right? But if you submerge yourself underneath the water, now the waves are feeling much more peaceful. Now it's like, oh, you're with the flow of things. And when those hard white water waves are crashing, they're not hitting you as hard. Instead, they're washing over you. You're not grasping onto it, right? So it washes over you. That's what you want to do in your meditation. You want these thoughts to just let them pass over you and pass on by, right? And you just stay with the ebb and flow, right? That's that center point, that balance point within the meditation. So we use a passive activity. That is the thought behind meditation, right? So as you do that, the thoughts that come and go, they start to settle over time, right? They start to slow down less and less as you bring yourself back to whatever your passive thought is, your passive activity is, whether it's in your breath, whether it's focused on a specific part of your body, whether it's following the breath through your body and following it back out, whether it's just the nose and just the in, out, whatever it is, that is your choice, that is your meditation. But the point is, it has to be passive enough so that you can just be with the experience, but then it has to be active enough to give you something to focus on other than grasping onto random thoughts that just sway by you, right? So with that, that is what the idea of meditation is. But let's say maybe meditation from a sitting perspective. Now, like I was saying earlier, not everybody functions very well with just sitting. You know, there are a lot of people out here who deal with ADHD or anxiety or whatever the particular clinical issue is of the moment. You know, ADHD maybe was like a decade ago. Right now, it's like anxiety. Depression has always been something that's been around. So that said, not everybody can do sitting meditation so easily. For a lot of people, you know, their nervous systems are wired, or for a lot of people, you know, they just have that ADHD, and sitting still is just a very, very difficult thing. Don't judge it. This is why I'm doing this video, to highlight to you that there are other styles of meditation that might work better for you. So if you're the type of person who you need to move, you always have energy, it's very hard to just sit still unless you go to sleep. Well, going to sleep is not actually the goal of your meditation, right? So you want to find a way to stay awake and be involved with your practice. So in that case, maybe you want to try walking, a walking meditation, right? Because now the act of walking, it's an activity, but it's passive enough that we don't have to think about it so much, right? These are passive activities. As you do that, it makes it much easier for you to not get caught up too much in the other things that your mind wants to do. So, again, back to the meditation, the passive activity that you want to use. Maybe walking is not your thing. Maybe you need something that's going to engage you a little bit more. Remember, you want the activity to be active enough to keep your mind trained and focus on one specific thing, but then passive enough so that you can be with the experience. You can be in the experience, right? So from there, one of my favorite meditations to do, aside from sitting, because I've been doing it for years, so I'm used to sitting meditations by now. But one of my favorites, exercise, working out. So with that, you can go through a full exercise routine and use that as your meditation. You know, now the thing is, with exercises, we can get caught up in our heads. What are the sets? How many reps? How long are we doing this specific thing? So the idea is, yes, you can use something like exercise as a meditation, but it has to be some passive exercises, right? So maybe you just want to run, go for a jog, right? Running could be a great exercise because it's very passive. You can kind of run unconsciously and kind of just be with the running process, right? The movement, the breath, and that are your passive activity so that you can really start to sense and engage with everything else that's below the surface. But you can do a hardcore reps. You know, I big into calisthenics. So push-pull exercises. I love my pull-ups, I love my push-ups, or hitting the weights, doing it in a way where it is passive, right? You don't want to get caught up into like, oh, I'm trying to do my pyramids and I'm trying to do my ladders, so I'm counting up to 20 reps of 2 up to 20, and like now you're getting into math. Now your mind is starting to glam onto all these other things. Keep it simple if you're going to use it as a meditation, right? So I'm just doing a set of 20. So now you just with the count and the breath, right? 20 push-ups or 10 push-ups, and I'm just going to do 3 sets of that. That's my meditation, right? 1, 2, 3. I'm just with the breath and the activity, pushing up and down, pushing up and down, pushing up. 10. Breath. Back 10. And I'm just with the breath, right? Done. Another 10. Just with the breath. Passive enough, because a simple exercise like push-ups is you can do that almost mindlessly, right? You just know you're pushing your body weight up off the floor, up off the floor, up off the floor. You're maintaining your energy, you're maintaining your breath so that you can keep that stamina. So if you can find some exercises that you can do and simplify them enough, not get too caught up into the routine and into the process and into your form, but just in a way that's going to give you an activity that's enough to kind of engage you and keep your mind trained on something so that your mind is not being washed in the waves, so to speak, that is fine. So I like exercises. Also exercises, I can use exercise in tandem with my sitting meditation. Sometimes I'll wake up, I like to do my meditations in the morning, my morning practice. I typically will do my meditation in the morning. After the meditation, I start to do a workout. Sometimes I get up in the morning and I cannot focus for the life of me. I cannot just sit and go to my breath. My mind is already racing. Maybe I saw the morning news. Maybe somebody gave me some bad news. Whatever the reason may be, my mind is already off to the races. And so it may be hard for me to just sit and get to that place of stillness. So I may go into an exercise and start doing exercise meditation where I'm just banging out reps. Very simple activity and just connecting with my breath and just being, right? So now, after I've done that and I've done a good amount of reps of whatever the particular meditation is, the particular exercise is, once I've done that, my mind has, at the end of that, has been honed in on something, has been still enough and focused on this one specific activity to then allow me to go and sit and just still be still. Yes, right? So you can use some of these different modalities to aid another modality, right? I can go from exercise to sitting meditation, and I use them both as a meditation, and then an exercise will also have the added effect of moving some blood through my system and completely depleting me, right? It might deplete me of all of my energy in the sense that once I sit, it's very easy to be still because my energy is gone, my muscles are spent. Now I'm just sitting and being still. And because I just came from exercise, my mind is already trained and programmed to not be back and forth with whatever random thoughts, right? My mind is probably still at the breath because I'm spent from exercising. So now I go to sit, and it is easy to stay with the breath because I still gotta breathe, right? I'm probably panting from the exercise. So once I sit down, now I'm getting a fuller, deeper meditation with my sitting practice because I've just spent all my energy and I've just expelled all of the negative stimuli that might have been running through my system, right? So you can use some of these modalities together. Another favorite of mine is dancing. I love to dance. Dancing has so many good benefits, right? It's releasing serotonin, it's releasing all those happy hormones as far as, you're just having fun, you're just free in life. Now again, pros and cons to these things, much like exercise, dancing, you can get into your head, right? If you start dancing and you're thinking about the steps and if you're doing it right and if you look good, then you're already getting away from meditation. The idea is if you're going to dance as a meditation, you just want to get into the place of freedom, of movement, just having fun. You don't even have to think about it, right? The idea is just that you just want to move, get the blood flowing, and that is just your activity. What feels good in this moment, this present moment? I'm just kicking my feet. It just feels good, right? At the same time, what music are you playing? You want to turn on, some hardcore, heavy metal, wanna fucking roll all night. Now you're in your head, you're thinking about lyrics, you're thinking about this and that, you're dancing, you're singing, you're screaming. Yes, that's very fun, that's great expression, but you might be getting away from the meditation aspects. So if you're using something like dance as a meditation, you want to just maybe have like an instrumental or something simple, right? Music that maybe moves you, but you're not going to get caught up into the lyrics, or you're not going to get caught up into the melody and the thought process of it all. You're just going to be able to feel and be. All of these meditation examples that I've given you is all about bringing you back to that place of being, that still place of just being, right? Because from there, then you start to really could go within and connect with what's underneath the surface, and you start to be able to step into these other elements of discernment and really figuring out what exactly your experience is at this moment. So with the exercise, or with the meditation, with the exercise or with the dance meditation, you're still allowing all the other settlements to settle. Although you may be being active in a sense, if you're doing it passively enough, it's still going to allow more clarity to come in your experience. With channeling, the idea is that we want to clear all of that distractions out. We want to clear all of all of that energy, all of those settlements, like the snow globe again. We want that stuff to settle so that we can start to peer into the water and see what's underneath, and see what's below, see what is really happening within our experience, right? You don't want to just be at the surface. I was triggered, right? And now I'm angry because of what I was triggered, and now I'm outraged, right? Like, no. You want to go beneath the surface and realize, oh, I'm hurt. There's some pain there. Now I can address the actual pain. as opposed to sitting up here in the surface and being angry and outraged. Same thing with channeling, right? Oh, I'm experiencing some energy. What is this energy that I'm experiencing, right? If your mind is racing and your mind is going, you will tend to blow off what you're experiencing. You will tend to dismiss it, right? You can be getting some higher guidance and words of wisdom, and you're just like, you're so caught up with what's happening up here, all this distraction above your head, the white waters splashing and knocking everything around, that you're not actually hearing the messages, right? That higher voice that's whispering in your ear, everything's gonna be okay. You're good. You're blessed. So in order to hear that, you kind of have to let all of the noise outside of yourself settle. And that is the purpose of meditation when it comes to this work, right? So I hope this video helps. I hope it made some sense.